American Fishing Club social media editor Greg Huff here. I'm out with bass pro Kevin Short in his home state of Arkansas. We are out on Lake Ouachita. Kevin, what's the key to solving these bass? We've got about 62-degree water temperature.
Yep.
How do you get them dialed in down south here in the fall?
You know, there's really two different things to look for. You either fish the main lake, try and find grass. A little bit of hydrilla right there. Okay, try and find some hydrilla, some milfoil, something out around the main lake, the mouth of the main lake pockets, the creek channels that run off the main lake right out at the mouth. That's one. Second thing is where we're at right now is we're not in the back of a creek, but we're about I'd say 2/3 to 3/4 of the way back in the creek. We found a little creek channel bend, and I tell you what, in the south. That is very important in the fall, winter, into the early spring is a creek channel bend. If you can find a creek channel bend, it's got a really good drop. It's got, this particular one has some cedar trees up on top of it. It's got a nice drop, some variation in the rock. If you can find that, man, that can be gold. There will be fish around that somewhere. You just have to figure out, do I need to catch them on a jig? Can I catch them on a crankbait? Do I need to be throwing a jerk bait? 3 or 4 different baits is about all that you need in the late fall, winter time, you know, down in Arkansas, Missouri. You can literally put all the baits that you need to catch fish down here in the palm of one hand and go out and catch some fish.
All right, let's do it.
We've moved up into one of the main feeder creeks here on the lake. Of course, it's November, fall, everybody knows. Bait fish go to the back of the creeks, bass follow them. We're gonna check some of that out. This creek's got a lot of little fingers that run off of it, a lot of little flats. It tends to have some grass in it, tends to have a little bit of hydrilla in it. So we're gonna poke around in here with our lipless crankbait, see if we can find some of that grass, get us a couple of bites. We're gonna check out some of the little channel swings with a little football jig, see if we can't get some bites that way. So we've got a couple of different options in here we're gonna check and see what happens. You know, one of the keys to finding the right creek channel is really you want to find one that has some shad in it. And a lot of times you can use your electronics, and that's what we've done here. We've kind of drifted into this, over this creek channel right here. And the first thing that we saw was a huge wad of shad, a huge cloud of shad that was suspended right over the creek channel. Of course, right off to the side of the creek channel, we've got this little hump. I mean, it's basically at the top of a bluff is where those cedar trees are sitting on. It's probably 7 or 8 foot, and you know we just fell off into 32 right here, and the creek channel actually makes a little bend and turns back out behind us. And the shad are just, I mean, it's like a smorgasbord for the bass right out here in front of them. It's a textbook place for fish to kind of bunch up as they're moving back and forth right here in this bend, right at the mouth of this big pocket. It's just a textbook place for fish to bunch up. You know, any kind of channel swing like that is almost like a fish magnet. And some of them are, you know, are pretty visible. You know, you can actually see them up on the bank. You know, some of them like this one, you actually have to find it either on a map or find it by fishing it. And of course, it's pretty easy to find when you troll up through there. You know, you're fishing, you know, you're going along there and it's oh, just missed one right there. 7, 8, 9, 10 foot, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just falls straight off into 30 foot. And it's a perfect place to get a bite. And it looks like we got a little spotted bass here. But you know what? Post-front day, we finally got us a bite. Creek channel bend, good drop. It's one of the best drop-offs around. A little Jewel Pro Spider jig, little 12-inch spotted bass. We're just getting started. So that's, you know, look for those creek channel bends. When you find one, you know, use your electronics, go back and, you know, make a couple of passes through there and see if you can't find some shad, because I promise you, You know, when you're dealing with particularly when you're dealing with fish that are living around these creeks, living in these, you know, along these creek channels, they are not going to be far from a school of shad. When you find those shad, that's where you need to start fishing, and I bet you'll get bit. Whoa! Oh, that one just hammered it. He may not be very big, but he just hammered it. Whoa! Yeah, a little largemouth there. That dude, just as it was, oh, he was just barely hooked, dude, just barely hooked. Just as it was coming off the drop, I mean, he just absolutely smoked it. Nice little largemouth. Gotta love it when a plan comes together. You know, Greg and I were talking earlier about fishing down here in the, you know, down in the Arkansas, Missouri, over into eastern Oklahoma, and particularly in the late fall, winter. And, you know, I made the comment that, you know, everything that I fished with that time of year, I could put in the palm of my hand, and here it is right here. You know, depending on what the fish are relating to, whether it's whether the fish are suspended out in the creek channel, whether they're up on top of the drop, you know, they could be relating to different types of rock up on the bank. You know, that's going to depend on what I'm going to throw. When I can see the fish suspended on my electronics, the first thing I'm going to throw is some type of a suspending jerkbait like this little Megabass 110. Cold water, you know, when the water temperature gets down into the 40s, upper 30s, this right here is the king. I mean, there's been days where I've gone out with absolutely nothing but two St. Croix 6/8 medium extra fast casting rods and a box of these, because I know that that's what they're going to bite. When I'm fishing different kinds of rock, you know, actually going down the bank, chunking and winding, I'm going to throw either a lipless crankbait like this little XRK 75 one knocker, or I'm going to throw either a little square bill like this Strike King 2.5 or Old Storm Wiggle Wart. That's, you know, I'm either going to go lipless or, you know, a regular build crankbait. And I'm going to play with both of them. You know, if I'm fishing stuff like that that's up on the bank and I'm running different kinds of rock, you know, I'm going to have both tied on and I'm going to throw both of them during the day. If I find that the fish are pretty much pegged to the bottom, maybe they're on the top of a hump, you know, maybe like what we're fishing right here is the top of a little bluff that falls off into the creek channel right in a bend. Then I'm going to go to my little Jewel Pro Spider jig. It's a 7/16 ounce jig. It's got a real small profile. It's got a real subtle action in the water, so it's a great cold water jig. I'll put either a little Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw on the trailer, or I'll use just a double tail trailer. For colors, but I like to keep it real simple. You know, this is peanut butter smoke. But whatever color it is, I'm going to look at the, you know, if there's wood, I want something that if it's laying on a piece of wood, it almost disappears. I want something that if I throw it up on the bank and look at it down there in the water, it almost melts in and almost disappears into the bottom. And I think that's pretty important with your jigs, particularly in the wintertime. I mean, if you find a crawdad any time of the year, or crayfish any time of year turn over rocks or whatever, the first thing you're going to notice is that dude is the same color as the bottom. And I've always felt like that should be the way that your jig should be. I mean, it should be something that's almost the same color as the bottom. I'll take a little marker pen that's chartreuse on one end, orange on the other, put a little chartreuse or orange on the tips of my tread just because the claws are always a little bit different color on a crawdad. Something to make it, give it just a little bit of color, but otherwise, man, I want something that's real subtle. So those 4 baits, wintertime, in the south, I mean, I got pretty much everything I need to catch fish right there in one hand. Whoa! Oh, that one just hammered it. Gotta love it when a plan comes together.